everyone, and welcome to our 8th international episode of our podcast Millennials. I'm very excited because this is actually our first episode in 2022. So happy new year also to everyone.
Yes, hello guys and happy new year. We wish you a lot of successes and a lot of great moments with Millennials podcast in the new year.
Dennis, is that you? Okay, no, I'm just kidding. For those who are used to hear Dennis with me during international specials, today I do not have only a new guest speaker, but also a new partner with me, my sister Kika, so welcome.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. Happy to be here. I hope that my other partner, Ferky, is not going to be jealous. And what a better way to kick off my day than with a new international podcast, right?
Yes, and today we are starting early as early birds. It's 8 a.m. here in Slovakia, 8 a.m. In France as well. And a little bit different time zone for our new guest speaker. I will explain that later. But I just wanted to say that I had a really good morning just thanks to the fact that I had a really good sleep. And only the fact that I had a good sleep, it just makes me happy, and I know that my day is going to be very good. Kika, do you feel the same way?
You know what I think about this positive mood in the morning? I usually don't talk in the mornings. That's because I sleep maybe 4 or 5 hours per night, so...
Kika, don't worry, you are not alone in this because 2/3 of adults in developed countries don't have enough sleep, and especially millennials are unable to sleep during night. And as I said before, we are in a new year 2022, and I don't know for others, but for me it always means a new beginning and a chance to do something better, like reading more books, start running, or also have a better sleeping patterns. So this is the thing that we are going to discuss today with the number one sleep expert in Australia, Olivia. Olivia, hello, how are you? Did you have a good night's sleep?
Hi ladies, I had a very, very good night's sleep, thank you. I did. I actually have coronavirus right now. So, yeah.
So sorry to hear this.
It's all good. I'm on day 6 of 7 of isolation. So, to be honest, I'm getting a lot of sleep right now because you have a lot of time.
Yes. Olivia, thank you that you accepted our invitation, even if you have a coronavirus, and I think you are going to be...
All good.
Yeah, hopefully you feel better soon.
To be honest, I felt very, very bad for 4 days, but I have the Omicron, and Omicron I think isn't so bad, and after 4 days I feel back to normal. And now I'm ready to go out and be a normal human again.
Happy to hear that.
Olivia, before we start to discuss sleep, let's talk a little bit about you. Until 25 years ago, scientists knew little about the nighttime habits of ours. And now I can say there is this kind of a sleeping boom. We want to know everything about our sleep. We want to know everything about our dreams, about the phases during our sleep that we are going through. So how did you come to sleep? And did you study sleep? Or how did you come to this actually?
So I came to this mainly because there was a need for it. So I studied a range of degrees in the wellness space. I was really unwell as a teen. I had depression, anxiety, eating disorders. I was hospitalized. I tried to commit suicide. I was really, really unwell as a teen. So when I got better, I thought I want to help other people get better from their illnesses as well. And I didn't know exactly what that was going to be, but I knew that it was something in the wellness space. So I studied a Bachelor of Social Science Psychology, a Certificate of Sleep Psychology, a Diploma of Health Science Nutritional Medicine, and also a Certificate 3 and 4 in Fitness. Now, the reason I did that was because I knew I wanted to help people feel better, but I didn't know exactly how that was going to look or what that meant. And, I started coaching a range of different things, like some stress, some weight loss, some fitness. And then I had some sleep clients, and they got really good results really fast. And I realized that I was really good at helping sleep, and I started telling people about my results, and I realized that every second person was having a problem with sleep. And so I thought, okay, you know what? I think there is a massive need. I feel like I should specialize because there's no one really giving scientific but straightforward advice in a way that the mainstream, population can action it. And so I found a space there. And so I really just went into the space like, it's not that I'm the most passionate about sleep, it's that other people need sleep. And I'm passionate about helping them. So I'm delivering what they need.
I actually love hearing those success stories that you come from something that was like kind of your suffering and you turn it into something and now you like helping other people. I just love to hear that. This is amazing. We are going to divide this discussion into 3 main topics. The first one is called basis of sleep. Olivia, let's describe the mechanism of sleep. What is responsible for the fact that we need to go to sleep every 15 hours?
So the body needs to regenerate and rejuvenate. So that's by 3 main mechanisms. One of them is the detoxification of a neurotoxin called beta amyloid. Now, every electrical transmission in our brain, which happens when we think, when we breathe, when we move, everything. There's an electrical conduction, which as a byproduct, our bodies produce a chemical called beta amyloid. Now, when left in the brain for too long, beta amyloid builds up in plaques and contributes to memory loss, brain fog, and the plaques are actually hallmark signs of the illness Alzheimer's disease.
Whoa.
Yes, because the brain doesn't have a lymphatic system, the brain relies on deep sleep in order to detoxify from that neurochemical. So that's one reason why we have to have sleep. Otherwise, we get too much of a build-up of beta amyloid and we can't think straight.
Oh, I thought it's much more simple actually than this. The mechanism of sleep. This is interesting.
Well, I feel like I could give you the simple things, but I feel like you girls are very well researched and your readers, so your listeners, are also very well educated. I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if I skimmed over the surface.
Yes, yes. And as the last international episode was about the brain and all of those mysterious things as well, it's a really great connection, how we just described it, the brain and the sleep. And this is actually my second question was like, why do you think that sleep is one of the, we heard that sleep is one of the most mysterious processes in our life. So I just wanted to know if you can explain us why is it so mysterious? I think we had a bit of the answer already. But do you have another answer or something? Why is it so mysterious for us?
Because unless you go into a sleep laboratory, you really don't know what happens during the night. You go to sleep, you wake up. Sometimes you feel good, sometimes you feel bad. Why? You don't know. It's like throwing monkeys into a barrel. Who will land? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. You just don't know. And I think a few other things in our life, we have certainty. Okay, you go to work, you earn this much money. Or you go to the gym, you lift this many weights and that's going to, you're going to get this body. Or, you follow this diet, that's going to mean that you look like this. With sleep, people are just like, I don't know. I don't know what I do that makes it right. Because some days I sleep well and some days I don't. And I really don't understand it. And it's like there's just such a confusion about how it really works and why we sleep well on some nights. And I think it's still such a new concept, such a new topic. This is why it's a mystery. I don't feel like it'll be a mystery in say like 5-10 years, because it's really coming into the forefront of media at the moment, and people are becoming a lot more aware of sleep strategy, sleep saboteurs, blue light, sleep supplements, chronotypes, all these things they need to know to sleep better. I think they're becoming a lot more aware, but it's still very new. So kind of watch this space in terms of it being a mystery.
I actually recently, I was listening to a podcast with a Slovak neurogenetist. His name is Thomas Eichler. And he actually studied sleeping patterns on worms and the brain activity during sleep. And he said exactly the same thing as you, that we do not know what is actually happening when we are sleeping, and we don't actually even know when humans started to sleep. And also he said a very interesting thing that during night we are very harmful. It's very dangerous for us actually to sleep, because we can get killed during the night. We cannot eat, we cannot drink, we cannot socialize. And also in the literature, in the movies, bad things happen during the night. Vampires and werewolves are going out, also zombies. So it's actually, the night is something good for humans, but also it can be something very dangerous for us. So this was very interesting for me to listen about these facts, about this information.
Well, I think, like, given how vulnerable we are when we are sleeping, it emphasizes even more so how important it must be for us. You know, we wouldn't have been able to survive through evolution if sleep wasn't overall protective for us. But if you look at us when we're sleeping, we're at our most vulnerable. So, you know, it's an interesting paradox.
And what is actually happening, when we sleep, so the brain is actually controlling the sleep, I guess, and is controlling all of our body, and is controlling, the brain is deciding what is happening in our body.
Yeah, so the autonomic nervous system, which is responsible for things like heart rate, blood pressure, breathing, that still functions, whereas the other nervous system, which is called the somatic nervous system, and the somatic nervous system breaks down into the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic. Now, that's responsible for things like fight or flight, and calming us down. So, you know, the brain is largely connected to the autonomic. It's connected to both, but there is still one half of our essential nervous system, which controls the involuntary movements of the body, like breathing, like blinking, like, you know, our heart rate. That still functions during sleep. But it's just the voluntary movements that are part of our sonomic nervous system that is inactive.
Okay, so there is something that is not working during the night. One of the systems.
Yeah.
What I would like to know is how our nights look like in terms of the phases of the sleep, for example, dreaming, you know, from the moment we fall asleep till the moment we wake up, how our sleep is divided into some phases.
So essentially we move through a sleep cycle every 90 minutes. Now, at the start of the sleep cycle, we go from light sleep, and then we move into deeper sleep, and then back up to light sleep. So right at the start of our night, we enter stage 1 non-REM sleep. That is when we are easily awoken, and it's not refreshing, it's not rejuvenating at all. We're only there for about 10 minutes, and we dive into stage 2 non-REM sleep. When we are in stage 2 non-REM sleep, that's when we start to consolidate our memories and start to, it's called encode memory traces. So that's when you transfer memories from short-term to long-term memory. So that starts to happen in stage 2 non-REM sleep. And then we move on to stage 3-4 non-REM, which is also known as slow wave sleep or deep sleep. This is when that process I mentioned before, detoxification of beta amyloid, occurs. But in addition, a major function of slow wave sleep is to help us produce growth hormone, which is the key hormone for cellular repair. And 70% of growth hormone is produced in slow wave sleep. So that's really important. And then all of that happens, we move through those sleep stages, moving from, light stage 2 non-REM sleep into stage 3-4 non-REM sleep. And then back to stage 2 non-REM sleep, and then potentially into stage 1 non-REM sleep. We move in that pattern in the first 2/3 of the evening, usually before 3 a.m. Then after 3 a.m., we move from stage 2 non-REM sleep. Then instead of going into stage 3-4 non-REM sleep, we go into REM sleep, which is dream sleep. And this is when more memory consolidation takes place and we have a regulation of our emotions. And then, after we've entered our deep sleep, we'll go back into our lighter sleep stage. So it just looks like this.
Yeah.
Like a roller coaster. Light sleep, deep sleep, light sleep, deep sleep.
Sometimes I feel that I'm in a deep sleep during 8 hours. Sometimes I fall asleep during 9 hours. I sleep so deep that I'm not even dreaming, and then I just wake up. I feel like I'm not going through this cycle sometimes.
Is it possible that you just go through one cycle?
Technically, yes. Anything's possible. You'd have to be pretty much you spend 20%, about maximum of 20% time in slow wave sleep and 25% of time in REM sleep. If you're spending much more than that, if you feel like you've spent, 50 or 70% in, deep sleep or slow wave sleep, the only time that would really happen is if you have a sleep disorder.
Oh, okay.
It's not normal. No, you would spend normally 25% in REM, 20% in slow wave sleep, and 50% in stage 2 non-REM.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes even if we are dreaming during the night, maybe in the morning we just don't remember that we were dreaming, or maybe we just don't remember that we actually woke up or that we moved or something.
Absolutely.
Let's move to the second topic, and I would like to talk about types of people. And my information is that we have 2 types of people. Olivia, maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree. Is it true that we have 2 or maybe more, maybe less types of people depending on their sleeping patterns?
So this is interesting because this is actually what I wrote my book about, Bear, Lion, Wolf. And given that I just gave you 3 sleep animals, I fundamentally believe there are 3, and this is what the research shows.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time, to validate these kinds of, the research on, morning people or evening people, they use a scale called the morningness eveningness scale, which has been invented by Swedish researchers James A. Horn and Oliv Ostberg. Now, why you might think that's broken into 2 is because essentially that scale rates somebody on how morning-oriented they are or evening-oriented they are. So yeah, you can break it down to 2. However, in terms of the actual clinical research, what most of the papers do is they break it into at least 3 categories, and they say, okay, there's a morningness, then there's an intermediate category, and then there's an eveningness. And how that's been grouped by other, by further research has been into chronotypes: lion for the morning, bear for the intermediate, and a wolf for the evening. And that's what I wrote my book on. So in terms of, do I agree that there's 2 or 3? I feel like my fundamental is that there's 3. But I guess if you really needed to, break it down, you could just put them to 2. Yes.
So why are we always talking in our society about birds and owls?
I just think it's a very well-known and well-publicized, very mainstream, easy to identify concept.
How would you define the lion? So you would define it as someone who is waking up early and someone who is going to sleep earlier than the bear, or what was the second? And the wolf. Okay.
Wolf. Yeah, absolutely. So the lion usually likes to get up around up or before 6 and likes to go to bed around 10.
Mm-hmm.
The bear likes to get up around 7 and bed around 11. The wolf likes to get up around 8 a.m. and goes to bed around 12 a.m.
And is this something genetic? Are we born with this predisposition?
Yeah, so it was really great. In 2017, there were 3 researchers, Jeffrey Hall, Michael Rosbash, and Michael Young, They won the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine for their discoveries into the circadian rhythm, including that 50% of our genes are under circadian control. So that was really interesting because what it showed us is that 50% of, exactly what we're talking about. Are we a morning person, evening person, intermediate person? Is due to our genetics. But it's interesting because it's not just our sleep-wake cycles that is due to genetics. It's 50% of all our biological rhythms is due to our genetics. But outside of that, in terms of other influential factors, there are quite a few. You've got age, you have sex, you've got even the location you live in, you've got what sleep strategies you're using and what sleep saboteurs you're exposed to. For example, are you using blue light in the evening? Are you on a device? Are you under high levels of stress? Have you had alcohol? Have you ate late? Have you exercised late? Have you, done activities in bed? Have you overheated? All of these things that contribute to somebody having a later or an earlier, chronotype, or as you're saying, sleep personality.
Yes, that's actually what I said. When I was living in Australia, it was so easy for me to wake up at 6 a.m. I mean, it's beautiful outside. There is an ocean. It's warm. Mm-hmm. But here, I don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. I mean, it doesn't make sense for me to wake up at 6 a.m. What I'm going to do, I mean. So it's...
Right. It's actually funny because before COVID, I was traveling quite a bit. And I remember I was staying in, I think it was Lisbon. Mm-hmm. And I've always been an early bird. I'm just, I get up, I go for a run, it's like 6 o'clock. And I remember, I think I was in Lisbon. No, it was in Barcelona. And I remember that I was up at like 6 and it was like a ghost town. It was like 3 a.m. I was like, where is everyone? Like, here I am, like jogging, like looking for a cafe to hang out in. And there was nothing. I was just like, the only people that were awake are the people coming home from the club.
Yes. Yeah, from the parties. I seriously think that the life on your continent is so much different than here. I feel like here, when you live in like a big city, I mean, Sydney is a big city as well, but it's so much different because it's so connected to the nature. And here, for example, I'm in Bratislava, you kind of wake up to like a city stress, like cars honking and everybody's rushing to the work. It's not so peaceful. And even right now, in this, in January when it's snowing and super cold, I feel like it's even like more kind of depressed. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. So much different.
But I will say though, all of Sydney isn't like this. All of Australia isn't like this. Bondi is tourist capital, and a lot of people in Bondi, it's a very affluent area, and a lot of people have their own business, and a lot of people come here for the surf. So chances are, if you live in Bondi, you can wake up early, you go for a surf, or you go into the ocean, and then you come back to your house and do your business, exactly as I'm doing now. Whereas there are other parts in Sydney where literally you just wake up and you go to work. That's it. But Bondi is a bit different. Bondi is special. That's why I like it.
Okay. Once I will be living in Bondi. This is my dream. Olivia, I heard that actually when you said that it's kind of genetic if we are a lion, bird, or wolf, that also the nature defined these types of people, because at the time of chasers and hunters, some people needed to be lions, some needed to be bears, some needed to be wolves, because then they could protect the camp against predators and have bigger chances to survive. So actually it makes a little bit sense, that we cannot be all the same, that we cannot all wake up at the same time.
Absolutely. I think that for whatever universal power has given us different personality attributes, that includes different chronotypes, because we need to be different from each other to support each other. We can't all be the same, or we'll all be the same gifts. Mm-hmm. Even this situation now, you guys are the interviewers and I'm coming here with the knowledge, but it would be a bad situation if we were all interviewers.
Yes.
And it would also be a bad situation if we all had the knowledge, because neither would work.
Yeah.
Need to have balance.
Concerning the types of people in our society, I feel like our society is more built to the morning people, and we always say that morning people are more successful than the night people. Do you think it's true?
Yeah, I saw this on the questions before the show, and it's arguable. I definitely agree that we are more geared towards morning people. And, if you look at, like the wolf chronotype, for example, they technically like to sleep around midnight or even 1 a.m. and they want to get up around 8 or even 9 a.m. Now, when you think about most jobs, at least in Australia and, like most, Western countries, typical working hours are like, 9 till 5. You can't be waking up at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Doesn't work, right? That doesn't cater for you. So what happens is usually they go to bed late because that's their circadian preference, and they'll have to wake up early, which leaves them sleep deprived, which means that they're chronically tired. And then they have the consequences of sleep deprivation: brain fog, memory loss, fatigue, poor immunity, mental health problems, anxiety, depression, bipolar, ADHD, as well as the physical health problems like obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease. So they're really at a disadvantage. So, you ask, like, the question is, more successful or more favored. They're definitely, like, we're oriented towards being, like, more of a morning person or like an intermediate person, so like a lion or a bear. But in terms of being successful, it just depends on how you're defining success.
Yeah.
No. And I think this is like a really interesting, I guess, concept because, we were speaking before and like you're 26 and this podcast is for millennials. And, okay, so how are you defining success? Is it about who's getting the most done throughout the day? Is that what success is? Or is it who's living the happiest life? Or is it who's living the most authentic life to themselves?
Yeah, those questions are actually popping out a lot right now. Who is the most successful? The one who earns,
Right.
lots of money, or the one who's the happy one?
Exactly.
Who's happy with the family and hobbies? Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, so say, for example, a night owl. Okay, so they have to wake up sleep deprived, but maybe then, in the late evening, they're often super creative, and because no one else is awake, they're able to be in like this creative genius. I actually have one of my best friends, he's a DJ, and he does his best work literally like, I would say, but like around midnight, because no one else, and he's just in his own space, he's in his own world, and, maybe that's success. Being able to bring to life your craft. But is that, and yes, like, he does DJing for work, so that brings him financial wealth. But does that make me more successful because I'm able to get up early and, everyone says, oh, you win the day if you get up early and, you get ahead. Get ahead on what? What are you getting ahead on?
This is actually the thing that for people in our society, it's morning people is equal to discipline. And that if you don't wake up at 6, you are not disciplined anymore.
Right?
You are the lazy one.
Right?
Yes, that the others are lazy. And that's why I feel like the evening people, they just suffer sometimes in our society.
But I tell you what, if my friend's awake at, 10, 11 o'clock, making music, doing his craft, I'm the lazy one because I'm laying in bed.
Exactly. So yes, it's actually how you look at the situation. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's really important to question these things. When somebody's like, oh, all the successful people do X. Well, what are you defining success as? You need to question these concepts. Otherwise, you can be very easily led to believe that, I'm an evening person, I'm an owl, or I'm a wolf, so I'm a failure because I don't wake up early. And then you can feel bad about yourself, but actually you're just feeling bad because you're defining your value according to somebody else's belief on what makes you successful or not.
Yeah, I think it's super cool to hear this because, when I was a student, I always felt so much pressure because I love to study at night. Me, I was always the super active and energetic, from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. I loved studying during the nights, and everybody was like, no, go to sleep, or, you had to wake up at 7 a.m. to go to school. So right now, it's cool to hear that everybody has to, it's genetic, and you have to kind of find your own path, in the world. So this is cool. Imagine right now, I'm the lion. Can I voluntarily change and become the wolf? Is it a good thing, or maybe we shouldn't do that?
So I would definitely recommend wolves and bears, so evening people and intermediate people, becoming more lion or bear. Those are the they're the two chronotypes that society favors. This is because, we typically work, 9 till 5, sometimes 8 till 4. So it just makes living in society as it is easier. I wouldn't encourage anyone to become a wolf, an evening person. They technically have the worst health, the worst mental health, the worst physical health. They typically sleep the least and have the worst cases of insomnia as well. So even just on that scale, on the health scale, they're really at a disadvantage. And then in terms of their because they're sleep deprived literally every single day, that really has a super negative impact on their productivity, their mental clarity, their capacity to deliver 100% in their work. Unless, of course, they're able to work in the evenings. That would be a different case, but most people still work a traditional daytime hours. So, in terms of being able to shift though, yes, you can. You can within reason. You still have a disposition, like an inherent sway to either sleep and wake at a particular time. But outside of that, you can override that by using sleep strategies and controlling sleep saboteurs.
It's good because we are moving to actually our next topic, which is about the lack of sleep and some tips to sleep better. So let's touch up on this. Coming back to what Kaki said before, I call my sister Kaki, Carolina, just so everybody is aware. Our generation has much more sleeping troubles than the previous generations. Why, Olivia, do you think there is this sleeping pandemic?
That's a very big question. Why do we have a sleeping pandemic? We're probably more stressed than we've ever been. And I feel we have more on our plate. There's more to do. There's more pressure to, make more money, attend more events, be more social, go above and beyond in every realm. And I feel that we know that we can't shortchange our work. We can't shortchange our gym. We can't shortchange, our social time. So we think, okay, well, something's got to give. Maybe sleep. Sleep's not that important. Mm-hmm. I think there's just a lack of awareness of how much of a priority it is.
Yeah, and also, you know that type of friend who always says you can sleep once you die. Let's go out. So it's like it feels like we have different priorities right now. Like go clubbing and go doing everything during the night. And as you said, that sleep is it's not that important, and we do not realize how important is sleep actually.
Trust me, when I hear those people, I go, "You realize I'm a sleep expert." Like really?
And then you have the good advice is like, yeah, just drink the Red Bull, just drink coffee, you'll be fine.
Exactly, right.
It was okay.
But I will say that so I'm 30, I'm just about to turn 32, and I noticed there was a definite shift away from that mentality in my later 20s and early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that people don't bounce back like they used to. I feel like I started to notice that even when I was in my late 20s, it's in my I remember when I was 18, I used to like go out all night on a Saturday night, and then I'd get home at like 3 or 4 a.m. I would sleep from 4 till 6. Then I would go and work a 10-hour shift at my retail shop, and then go for dinner that night. I was like, oh my God, that's like literally 2 hours sleep. And I would do it every single week.
Oh my God.
Every single week, right? And it was just like what I did. And now, like, if I have anything less than like, if I have 4 hours sleep,
Never again.
no, I'm not in a good way. And so I'm like, I need to go home and nap now. Sorry.
Exactly.
But I feel like most people have that same experience. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you feel like when you were in your like late teens that you could get by on like no sleep, and then all of a sudden like now you need sleep? Like, is that happening to you?
Oh my gosh, exactly. We were partying so much at the uni.
Right?
Yes, we were yeah, I was partying so much, and when I think about it right now, I'm like, who was this person?
Right?
Because right now I'm so strict. Yeah, I'm so strict on my sleeping patterns right now. I cannot go without 8 hours of sleep. I just cannot.
Right? Right? The idea of having, no sleep, you're just like, but how?
Yes, I feel like I cannot exist like this. Yes.
Olivia, as you said, it was that, even like the need to socialize, sometimes the party, it was the need to socialize. Maybe I even didn't want to go to party, but it was this, you had to go there and meet those people. It was university. But right now I'm just like, I'm in a stage of my life when I have those friends that are important for me and that people. Now I'm focusing on something else.
Yeah.
So that's what you mentioned. And I actually even wanted to know if you think, I don't know if there are some researches behind this. Do you think the COVID pandemic actually worsened this sleeping pandemic, the sleeping troubles that we have?
Yeah, it did. There was one study that showed that before the pandemic, the rates of problematic sleep, I think this was in Australia, was 26%. Mm-hmm. And then after the pandemic, it was 46%.
That's a lot. Yeah.
So it almost doubled. Overall sleep has really taken a dive.
But why is it like the stress from the pandemic? Because me, for example, I don't want to say that I loved pandemic, but me actually I just got more organized. And I feel like I've got more time for me, and for me the pandemic, it was really good for me. But I understand that some people they could get really stressed because of it, and that's why yes, the sleeping patterns worsened. Yes.
Okay, so in terms of sleeping patterns, you've got additional blue light from tech. Everyone's on their phones all the time. You have to be on phones, devices to actually contact people. That's one thing. Another thing is that there's less regimented schedules. If you want to sleep in, stay up late, you could. If you want to sleep in really late, you could. If you wanted to work late, you could. Nobody's controlling it. More stress. There's a lot of insecurity around what's happening. Can I travel? Am I in lockdown? Am I sick? Is people in my society sick? Are we going to get sick? Is there a new COVID strain? Do I have the new COVID strain? Do I have to get tested? Can I go to work today? Like, super stressful times.
As you said, I think it's the insecurity actually, yes.
And then, you layer that on with people who have jobs that are insecure, like, full-time jobs are insecure, and then kids that are relying on them to, not only provide a financial security and, be able to pay for their food and school and all of that. But then also when the schools closed down, then all of a sudden these parents were school teachers as well. Like that, they didn't sign up for that, So like lots and lots of stress. And so, lots of stress, haphazard schedules and blue light. But also when you look at stress, it's not just about the stress. It's also that it meant that people were eating worse, they were drinking more alcohol, probably taking more prescription drugs, taking more drugs in general, so exercising less, all of these factors which really lead into poor sleep.
So now when we talk about the fact that we don't sleep enough, you already mentioned what is happening with our body if we don't sleep enough. So we can get some mental disease, some physical disease, we can get insomniac. And I just wanted to mention a very interesting fact that I found on the internet about a guy called Randy Gardner, and he broke the world record in 1964. He actually didn't sleep for 11 days. And as we said before, even the imagination that you don't sleep for one day, actually it scares me. So I cannot imagine to go without sleep for 11 days. And actually it was very interesting because I was following this guy day by day. So the day 2, he had difficulty to recognize objects by touch. So for example, he touched a banana and he didn't know it was a banana. The day 3, he was moody. He had some signs of ataxia, and he was unable to repeat simple tongue twisters. And then he had hallucinations. The speech was slowing. He was irritable. Then he had some fragmented thinking, paranoia. His mental abilities were diminished. And Olivia, what do you think about this kind of experience? Would you recommend to do it? Or what do you think about this person actually?
I feel like all of us are, whenever we go without sleep, we give ourselves a touch of this experience. So I feel like in terms of, do I recommend it? Definitely not. But the thing is that, so sometimes we're like, oh, it's fine, I'll just go to bed a bit late, or this is really important to wake up really early, it's fine. This reminds us it's not okay. Do you want to be paranoid? Do you want to, I was just reading before. So on his 11th day, he was asked to count backwards from 100 and he stopped at 65. And then they asked him, why'd you stop? And he said, I don't know what I'm doing.
It's crazy.
Not sure. I don't know. I don't know what I'm counting for. I don't know what am I counting? I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, it reminds us like sleep isn't just, this thing that we should just say, oh yeah, okay, great. When we have time for it, Okay, do you want to be able to think straight? Do you want to be able to, feel calm? Do you want to be able to function properly with your organs, with your muscles, with your movements?
Yeah, but sometimes when we are young, we don't actually feel the impact directly because we are so young, and the ability to regenerate is better than we are older. And also this guy, Randy, he had some problems for 11 days. Then he slept for 14 days. The body regenerated. But then he had problems afterwards. Like he had problems with insomnia, and he had also paranoia for the rest of his life. So even if we think that we don't need to sleep when we are young, it can catch up with us after when we are older. Now we know what is happening with our body if we don't have enough sleep. So how do we know that we have enough sleep? Can we measure it?
You absolutely can. The best way to know if you've had enough sleep is how you feel in the morning before you've had any coffee or any caffeine. If you wake up feeling like alert, that's a pretty good sign that you've had good quality sleep. If you're waking up exhausted, if you're waking up really cranky, if you wake up feeling like you just want to go back to sleep, this is a sign that you haven't had such good sleep quality. Another way to measure it is to wear like a wearable or track it, on a sleep app, although they're not as reliable as you would have on like a Fitbit or a Samsung or something. Yeah, that's a good way to know how well you're sleeping.
Do you think that this mobile application, is it something that you would recommend to do, people actually to measure our sleep?
Yeah, I think definitely. It makes us more aware, and with awareness comes change.
It's true that, for example, right now I'm setting up every night when I set up my alarm, I see that, okay, I'm going to sleep 7 hours. Oh, this is nice, and you know that this is something you need for your body to function properly. Right. And I think there is some other way that we can influence our sleep. It's, for example, with what we should or shouldn't do before we go to bed. Olivia, are there maybe any rules what we should or shouldn't do?
Absolutely. I've got a signature bedtime routine that I can run you through. This has been used by 100% of my private clients, and all of them are seeing improvements in less than 7 days.
We will try it.
So step 1 of the signature bedtime routine is to block out blue light. Light is the number one factor to control circadian rhythm. So if there's one thing that you can do to improve your sleep, it's to control light, and specifically to block out blue light is going to allow your body to produce melatonin, the sleepiness hormone. Specifically, lions, as in the early chronotype, they need to block out light for 2 hours before bed. Bears, the intermediate type, needs to block out light 2.5 hours before bed. And wolves, the evening chronotype, needs to block out light for 3 hours before bed. Step 2 is to diffuse lavender. Sorry, not to diffuse lavender, but to use lavender. So a 2010 study by the Medical University of Vienna found that lavender oil capsules could reduce anxiety by 59% and improve sleep quality by 45%. Another study found that the same amount of lavender oil capsules, which is 80 milligrams, was able to reduce anxiety by 45%, which was only 1% less than a benzodiazepine, which is a sleeping pill. So the researchers said that they were as effective as each other. Step 3 of the signature bedtime routine is to have a good night phone alarm. Now that is 1 hour before bed for all chronotypes. You want to have an alarm that pops up on your phone that reminds you to get off your devices, and after that point you want to disconnect from all technology. Phones, TVs, laptops, everything goes away. After that, you want to immediately jump in a shower. A shower has been shown in clinical research to improve our melatonin levels, because when your body drops in core body temperature after emerging from a hot shower to a cool bathroom, this is a signal for melatonin synthesis. Now again, you want to have that 1 hour before bed for all chronotypes. Step 5 is to take a magnesium-based sleep supplement. This is a really great one for those who have anxiety or that inability to switch off in the evening. A study by University of Leeds in 2018 found it could reduce anxiety by 31%. So the time you want to do that is half an hour before bed for lions, bears, and wolves alike. Step 6 of the signature bedtime routine is to meditate or read. Reading has been shown in clinical practice by a 2009 study by the University of Sussex to reduce stress by 68%, with the effects starting in just 6 minutes. So that one I recommend for wolves in particular, but also for lions and bears, unless they can meditate without an app. But if you can meditate, then meditation is amazing, because a study has found that experienced meditators have higher melatonin levels on nights they meditate versus those they don't. And you want to do both of those for at least 20 minutes. That's reading or meditating. And step 7 in the signature bedtime routine for lions, bears, and wolves is to use an eye mask. Remember, light is the number one factor to control your circadian rhythm, so if there is one thing that you're going to do to sleep better throughout the night, it's to block out any light.
I will definitely try that.
Please do. No, it's not about doing one or two. You need to do all the steps. You need to do them consistently. I recommend at least 7 days to give it a good crack. And yeah, 100% of my private clients have seen improvements in less than 7 days. So I trust this will be the same for you and your listeners.
I will definitely try it, even if I think that it's going to be a little bit difficult at the beginning, because we are so used to be on our mobile devices or laptops in the evening.
The thing is that you think about all the changes that you made in COVID.
Yeah.
So you're actually much better at making change than you think you are.
And setting up the routine is really important. And thank you, Olivia, for sharing all of this. And I actually wanted to ask one more thing about, the rules or routine that we should follow before we go to sleep or before we wake up. Do you think that waking up every morning at the same time and going to bed every evening at the same time is something that we should follow? Is it something that you recommend? Is it like a universal sleeping pattern that we should follow?
Yeah, it is really helpful because melatonin, your sleepiness hormone, operates on a 24-hour schedule. So if your melatonin is high one evening, so say for example you've blocked out all blue light and you've done your sleep routine, and then you are falling asleep around 10 o'clock because you're a lion. Your melatonin levels are high around 10 p.m. one night, around the same time the next night they will start to be high around that same time. And in the morning, if you wake up at the same time, they will be very low, because if you expose yourself to light in the morning, it will suppress it. So that means that when they're low at, like 6:30 that morning, then the next morning at 6:30, they'll expect to be low again, because it operates on a 24-hour cycle.
So it's not good to tell myself like, okay, during a week I will not sleep, and then during a weekend, okay, I will catch up.
But if you need, take a 30 or a 90-minute nap, but make sure that you finish the nap before 3:30.
So you recommend 30 minutes nap. It's a good thing, 30 minutes nap.
30-minute nap is good. 90 minutes is really only for like a new parent or somebody who's worked like shift work.
Olivia, you were talking about the magnesium to take it before going to sleep. What about the famous CBD that everybody is talking about?
It has validity, absolutely. It's an adaptogen. It sedates the brain, has no tolerance, so it has no, dependency risks. At least the research right now is showing. I haven't incorporated it into my bedtime routine because it's, to be completely honest, I'm based in Australia. A lot of my, my clients and my audience is based in Australia, and it's still new to our research. So CBD is definitely something to consider, and the research is definitely promising. It has shown phenomenal results, especially for people with anxiety, which can often keep them awake. So yeah, I would definitely consider it. I guess it depends on legalization at the moment. I think there's still, at least in Australia, you need to have a prescription, whereas if you just want magnesium, you can go to the chemist. I'm all for it. It's just more of a sake of, like, for ease of getting it. Like if for example, if an Australian listener heard this podcast like today, they can go into their chemist, in 2 seconds and get magnesium. If they wanted to get CBD, they would need to go to their doctor, first get a referral to a CBD doctor, then get a CBD doctor to have an assessment with them, then to write them a prescription, then get the prescription delivered to them. So it's a very long, lengthy process. And so that's why I'm a bit resistant to say, that is my first port of call, just because of the logistics around it. But it is very good.
And your thoughts on sleeping pills? The doggy!
The best companions,
Cute.
I swear.
Oh. Cutie.
Sleeping pills are absolutely awful. They contribute to what is called the benzo hangover, which is where the benzodiazepines sedate the body so heavily that you feel hungover the next day. The longer you take them, the more of the residue builds up in the muscle fibers in the body, and this contributes to greater and greater fatigue throughout the day the longer you take them. So you need to take more and more as it contributes. There is a tolerance, there is dependence. It's not what I recommend by any means.
So no sleeping pills. Okay.
Strong no.
Let's touch up on 2 last questions. So we were talking about the CBD and sleeping pills that should help us to sleep better. Well, people say, but you said sleeping pills no. But what do you think now about coffee that should help us to stay awake? Do you recommend it?
No. When you're sleep deprived, what happens is caffeine has a more potent effect on the nervous system, and so it contributes to that inability to switch off, which I know is a problem for most of my clients. And so yeah, no, coffee is not the way to go when you want to stimulate. If you do want to stimulate, the best thing you can do is use light. So expose yourself to as much light as possible and use movement. So whenever you increase your blood pressure, you will instantaneously feel more alert. So that's two great strategies to increase your sense of alertness without using caffeine.
So there is not a way to consume coffee in like a safe way?
Ideally, you want to do it before, if you do need to consume, if you do need a coffee, having it before 12 p.m. is what I'd recommend, but it's going to, even in the morning, it can still contribute to sleeping problems.
Last question. Olivia, are you waking up naturally or with an alarm clock? Which one is better? What is your morning routine?
My morning routine is that I typically wake up quite naturally around 5:36.
Oh my god, okay.
Then I immediately have like a big, like probably 500 mils of water. Then I write gratitudes in my journal, and I go and I give my puppy a cuddle, who you saw before. And then I either go for a run or I go to the gym, and while I do that, I practice a meditation and listen to, if I'm running by the ocean, I practice mindfulness. And then I finish that with stillness.
Is it better to just... I don't think that it's possible for some people to wake up naturally, so we need that alarm clock. You don't think that it's better, for example, to wake up naturally or with that alarm clock? It really depends on us. How do we wake up in the morning?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with an alarm clock. The only thing that you want to do is make sure that it's a smart alarm clock that wakes you in a light sleep stage rather than a deep sleep stage. And another good thing is have like a soothing alarm, not like a really jolting, alerting alarm.
Yes, I have a horrible one. Okay.
Yeah, I have the one, like it starts ringing. I'm just like,
yes,
like stress.
You wake up with stress.
Yeah. You don't want that. You don't want that.
Okay, amazing. So we all heard the best tips to go sleep and to wake up. Olivia, thank you very much for your time and all the interesting information that you have provided us with.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me, ladies. It's been so nice to connect with you.
Yeah, same. Thank you so much.
Thank you for pursuing me over the busy Christmas period. I know that we were trying to set this up for a while.
I'm sorry for that.
So I'm really grateful that we managed to get here in the end.
Yes, Kaki's best quality is the persistence. So thank you, Kaki, for this.
Very persistent.
Yes,
it's great.
And so, guys, everybody who listened to our episode, sleep please and follow the tips. Otherwise, you can have all the bad things that we mentioned during the podcast. You can have troubles to remember things or to communicate or to react during the day. So please sleep and prioritize sleep because it's super important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yes.
Couldn't have said it better myself, honey.
Yes. So should we all get a coffee now?
If you really want a coffee, make sure at least have a copy of my book for when you're reading it, because then you'll be able to find out about coffee. So I've just written a book and it is now published in Australia, the UK, the Netherlands, China, Italy, and Poland.
Wow, we'll definitely share this one.
Thank you. I would love that. It's called Bear, Lion, Wolf. If you type that into Google, usually it's going to come up. It's available on Audible. You get to hear my sweet, sweet voice reading to you for many hours, which I'm sure will be super exciting for many of your listeners.
Amazing.
Or you can get the print version. But either way, make sure that you pick that up, because that is going to be an absolute game changer for anyone who really wants help with their sleep. And also know that I am in the process of developing an accompanying online course, which is going to be a self-paced sleep course, which is going to be all about how to get your best night's sleep and the exact tools and tricks that we've spoke about today, but in a much more sequential, easy to follow format, which allows you to make radical change.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Olivia. Thank you.
Pleasure. Yeah, and if anyone wants any of those, any of those links, just connect with me on Instagram. If you type in sleep expert, I'm usually the first one that comes up. I'm Olivia. Or you can just go to my website, which is my full name, which I'm sure will be in the show notes, which is oliviaarezzolo.com.au.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. So nice to connect with you girls.
Now, out of the conclusions, guys, this was the 8th English special episode of the podcast Millennials, and hopefully not the last one. If you enjoyed this episode, you can let us know at millennials.podcasty@gmail.com or through the social media. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and in case you have any suggestions or questions, shoot us a message. Kaki, she will be more than happy to answer to you. This podcast was made in cooperation with Theatre Falangir, so we would like to say hello to our friends there. Hey guys!